Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, wow, we've got a mountain of source material here, diving into this really intense world. A world just choked by twilight, ancient bloodlines clashing. It's a lot.
It definitely is. We're talking about a reality where the sun hasn't really shone properly for decades. Immortals are pulling the strings, and there's this central prophecy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to save everyone, but, well, it might be the very thing that breaks everything.
Yeah, you described it as crimson-soaked, and that feels about right. So today, we're going deep.
Exactly. The plan is to get past just the surface story, who fought who, that kind of thing. We want to treat this whole sprawling narrative almost like a case study.
A case study? In what?
In sociopolitics, theology, maybe.
Yeah.
We're digging into how these vampire clans actually wield power, the mechanics of it all, and the personal cost, the real human or inhuman toll of this endless war.
And the prophecy itself. You mentioned how it seems to demand betrayal, sacrifice.
Immense sacrifice, yeah. It's not a clean path to salvation. It's messy, dark, and maybe forces people into impossible corners to even be fulfilled.
Okay, so setting the scene. We're focusing specifically on year 27 of this day's death.
Right, the 27th year, day's death. It's this perpetual, suffocating twilight. The sun is, as the source material puts it, strangled.
And the world is feeling it. Civilization's crumbling, faith eroding fast. Humanity's just hanging on by a thread.
Pretty much. And right at the heart of this decay, you've got these two massive opposing forces. On one side, Gabriel de León, the last Silversaint.
But not exactly a shining knight.
No, far from it. He's fighting the darkness, sure, but also the darkness inside himself. This inherited curse, this blood thing, it's tearing him apart.
And on the other side.
His nemesis, Fabian Vos, forever king. Ancient, ruthless, powerful.
And Vos has a very specific target.
He does. He's laser-focused on finding Dior the Chance. The prophecy names her the Demoiselle de Grail.
The Holy Grail. Literally.
Yeah, literally. She's positioned as the key to everything.
Yeah.
So the stakes couldn't be higher.
So our mission today, you said 3 threads.
Yeah, 3 main lines will follow. First, Gabriel and his allies, their struggle, their trauma, which is immense. Second, the vampire politics. This web of ancient bloodlines, their powers, their rivalries. It's incredibly complex.
And third,
how that Holy Grail prophecy actually plays out. How it culminates in this massive confrontation that kind of redefines what salvation even means in this world.
Okay. Sounds like a world where the lines are incredibly blurred.
Absolutely. The hero is haunted, maybe beyond repair. The savior figure, Dior, she's conflicted, powerful, but maybe dangerous. And the biggest threat, it might actually be the ones claiming they're the good guys, the ones fighting for the light.
All right, let's dive in. Section 1, the last Silversaint and the price of faith. Gabriel de León. Let's unpack him. You said he's not writing in full of hope.
No, not even close. When we meet him, he's the last Silversaint.
Yeah.
But the ad title feels hollow. He is fundamentally broken.
Broken how? Physically? Mentally?
Both. But the core is emotional, psychological. He's drowning in loss. His mother gone. His wife Astrid gone. And the memory of his baby daughter, Patience. He believes she died years ago.
That's a foundation of grief right there.
Yeah, exactly. Colossal grief. And it shapes everything he does. He's reckless, honestly. He seems suicidal at points. He's not really fighting to win anymore. He's fighting for an end.
An end to the war or an end to himself?
Maybe both. Either one seems acceptable to him at times. It makes him unpredictable, dangerous even to his allies.
In this internal collapse, it's made worse by his blood, right? This unique heritage he has.
Right. It's this double-edged sword.
Right.
The source calls it the unholy art of the faithless. It's a blood gift comes from his father, Wulfric.
So it's not standard vampirism, like Vos and the others.
It seems different. Theirs is explicitly a curse tied to that original sin against the Redeemer. Gabriel's is an inheritance. It gives him incredible physical abilities, resilience, speed, but comes at the price.
The price being?
The thirst. It's the defining struggle for all pale bloods, all vampires in this world. But for Gabriel, it seems particularly potent. It's getting worse.
How does it manifest in him? We see others struggle, but with Gabriel, it feels overwhelming.
It is. For him, it's described as this profound, conquering madness. It's always there, this predatory thing prowling behind the bars of his eyes, as the text puts it. It genuinely threatens to just erase who he is.
So it affects his judgment, his action.
Absolutely. It clouds his strategy. It pushes him toward emotional recklessness, towards violence that isn't always tactical. It's a biological imperative screaming at him constantly.
And how does he cope? Or try to.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Lots of it. Vodka, wine, whatever he can get his hands on. He explicitly states that without it, the physical agony of the thirst becomes unbearable.
So it's not just about dulling the psychological edge, it's physical pain, too.
Yes, it blurs that line between self-control and just pure animal hunger. The alcohol is a numbing agent, a way to keep the monster caged, even if just barely.
So the drinking isn't just a character flaw, it's self-medication, a necessary evil for him.
You can definitely see it that way. A desperate coping mechanism to hold on to some fragment of control against his own cursed biology. If he drinks, he can function, sort of. If he doesn't, the thirst takes over. Understanding that is crucial for why he makes certain choices later on.
Okay. And speaking of things that are broken, his sword, Ash Drinker. It's more than just a weapon.
Oh, Ash Drinker is fascinating. A character in its own right, absolutely. It's this silvered blade, incredibly deadly to the dead. But the unique thing, it had a mind, a voice.
A voice, like it talked.
It sang. A silver auraria in battle, the text says. It communicated, had a consciousness. But like Gabriel, it suffered trauma, major trauma.
What happened to it?
It broke.
Physically
Shattered against the skin of the Forever King, Fabian Voss, during a previous fight. Voss's hide is just preternaturally tough.
And that physical break caused a mental break in the sword.
Exactly. The source describes its mind drifting after that. Its words started stuttering, became nonsensical. It lost its connection to time and place, almost like PTSD, but for a sentient weapon.
Wow. So trying to fix it wasn't just about sharpening the edge.
No, it was an attempt to restore its psyche, its coherence. They took it to La Forge de Saint-Gevon. Forge Master Cortez and Baptiste, one of Gabriel's allies, worked on it. They welded these 3 fine silver spots into the blade.
Did it work? Was it fixed?
The craftsmanship was apparently masterful. Gabriel acknowledged that. But he also knew, deep down, it wasn't the same. The pure, singular voice, that silver aria, it was gone, fractured, just like him.
That's a powerful parallel. The warrior and his weapon, both scarred, patched up, but never truly whole again.
It really emphasizes the theme of irreparable damage in this world. Victory, survival, it all comes at a cost that can't be undone.
But Gabriel doesn't face this alone, does he? He has allies, this sort of found family, though they seem pretty damaged too.
They're all survivors, yeah. Running on fumes, carrying their own burdens. First, you've got Lachlan. He's Gabriel's old apprentice.
A loyal one.
The anchor, yeah. Steadfast, loyal to a fault. He's a survivor from the Silver Contingent, one of the old guard. You can spot him by his heavy Ossian brogue, that accent.
And something about silver on his skin.
Right. Yeah, this is fascinating. He has these patterns, like roses burned onto his temples. But it's silver burning him. Because his faith is so strong, his body literally rejects the holy metal. It's a mark of his devotion, but also a constant, painful reminder.
What's his role in the group besides loyalty?
He's the one who keeps Gabriel from completely self-destructing. He physically stops him sometimes, pulls him back from suicidal charges, tries to keep him grounded. He's the practical conscience.
Yeah. Then there's the couple, Baptiste Saint-Ismael and Aaron DeCoste. Their situation sounds complicated. Let's start with Baptiste.
Baptiste's story is heartbreaking. He's Aaron's husband. He survived being thrall-bound, enslaved essentially, by vampires, specifically with corrupted Divok blood.
Divok.
Yeah.
We'll get to them. The Blackhearts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though he's free now, that experience left a mark. He retains this unnatural strength, a residue of that Divok power.
So he has this power, but it's a curse, a reminder.
Both. It's a physical reminder, sure. He had a broken arm, that lingering strength. But the real damage is emotional. It's poisoning his relationship with Aaron.
How so?
Aaron is terrified of him, or rather terrified of the power in him, the reminder of what happened. Baptiste says this absolutely devastating line, something like, "Am I well, with my own fucking husband terrified to touch me?"
Oof. That cuts deep.
It shows how this vampiric corruption doesn't just kill you. It infiltrates your life, your love, and tears it apart from the inside out, even after you escape the direct control.
And Aaron DeCoste, the husband who's terrified. He's a vampire himself, right? But fighting it.
Yes. Aaron's journey is incredibly compelling. He was enslaved by Nikita Divok, one of the major Blackheart figures, forced to do terrible things. He carries the physical mark of that history, a brand, a black heart, and thorns on his skin.
A literal brand.
A literal, visceral reminder of the monster he was forced to become. And now, even though he's technically free, he's locked in this constant battle against his own nature, against the thirst, against the power he possesses.
Because he's afraid of becoming that monster again.
Terrified. absolutely terrified. And that fear dictates everything, especially his relationship with Baptiste.
How does it affect them specifically, besides the fear Baptiste mentioned?
Aaron refuses to feed on Baptiste.
Yeah.
In this world, feeding can be complex, sometimes necessary for survival, sometimes intimate. But for Aaron, it represents crossing that line back into control, into the thrall dynamic he endured.
Even if Baptiste wants it, or needs it.
Even then, there's a moment where Baptiste basically begs him, stay with me tonight, I want it to be like it was. He's offering that intimacy, maybe even that sustenance, but Aaron refuses. He'd rather suffer, physically weaken himself, maybe even risk dying, than risk imposing that power dynamic onto Baptiste ever again.
That's an incredible level of self-sacrifice born out of trauma.
It really underscores the moral complexities these characters navigate. It's not black and white. It's shades of gray, steeped in blood and fear.
Okay, so that's Gabriel's immediate circle. Now let's pivot to the main antagonist, the architect of so much of this suffering. Fabian Voss, the Forever King.
Voss, Gabriel's ultimate nemesis. His primary goal, on the surface, seems simple. Get Dior-le-Chance. Capture the Grail.
Why? Just for power.
Power is definitely part of it. But to really understand Voss, you have to go way, way back to the origin of the entire vampire curse.
And that leads us to that discovery you mentioned, beneath Mergen.
Exactly. In this tomb, they find evidence, proof, that changes everything. Fabian Voss wasn't just some ancient, powerful vampire warlord who rose through the ranks.
No. What was he?
He was one of the original 5 mortal priests, the ones who actually murdered the Redeemer, the Son of God in this mythology.
Wait, Voss himself? He was there.
He was there. He and 4 others committed the act, and as punishment, they were cursed by the Redeemer directly, cursed to undeath.
So he's not just a vampire, he's one of the first vampires, tied directly to the original sin.
Foundational horror, as you said earlier. His existence is the curse, a millennia-old punishment walking the earth. This reframes his entire motivation. It's not just about conquest. It's about defying God, defying the judgment placed upon him. It's cosmic arrogance on an unbelievable scale.
That puts Day's death in a whole new light. It's not just some magical weather phenomenon. It's the shadow of that original act, lingering.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Like the world itself is still wounded by that betrayal. And Voss, this ancient priest king, he backs up his claim with pure force, the Endless Legion.
Tell us about this army. What makes it endless?
It's terrifyingly efficient. It's made up of 2 main components. First, vast numbers of dead flesh. These are your basic, rotting, almost mindless vampires. Cannon fodder, essentially, but tireless and numerous.
And a second component?
Thralled steel. Thousands upon thousands of mortal soldiers whose will has been completely broken, subsumed by Voss's power. They fight for him without question, without fear, without needing rest.
So an army that doesn't tire and doesn't feel pain. Led by
His high-blood children, the princes and princesses of Forever. These are powerful, intelligent vampires, essentially immortal generals. They command the legions, execute Voss's strategy, and ensure the war machine never stops grinding. As long as Voss commands, the war can't end. There's always more dead, more thralls.
Okay, that's a terrifying picture of the enemy. It sets us up perfectly for Section 2, where we get into the structure of this vampire world. It's not just chaos, there's an order, a hierarchy.
Definitely. It's highly political, almost feudal in structure. Power revolves around these major ancient families, the bloodlines. And each bloodline has its own specific boon, its unique power.
And these boons, they're tied to the curse.
Directly. They seem to be specific manifestations of the original curse laid upon those 5 priests, passed down through their lineages. Each family's power reflects a different facet of that divine punishment, twisted into a weapon.
Let's break them down. You mentioned the Duvik, the Blackhearts first. What's their deal?
The Devoket are all about raw, physical power. Their boon is called Strength Unholy.
What does that mean in practice? Just super strong.
It's more than that. It's this grotesque vitality and unholy resilience. They can shrug off wounds that would kill other pale bloods, even other high bloods sometimes. They're incredibly hard to put down in a straight fight.
And someone made this even worse.
Yeah, Lilith Divok. She was known as the Winter Wife. Apparently, she was quite the dark scientist. She figured out how to use the corrupted blood of something called Dusk Dancers, a different, maybe older, wilder strain of vampire, to enhance the Divok strength even further.
Making them even more dangerous.
Exactly. And their legacy is one of pure destruction. You mentioned Osway earlier.
Right, they turned it into a charnel house.
That term isn't used lightly. It implies mass slaughter, ritualistic cruelty, a place where the living were systematically hunted and butchered. The Diavoke invasion basically broke Oswey. Key figures you hear about are Nikita, who enslaved Aaron, Lilith herself, who killed Phoebe's husband Connor, and their child, the Dragon, who sounds like a nightmare.
Okay, so brute force and terror. What about the next line? Chastain, the Empress's line.
The Chastains are different. Their power is more about control, specifically mastery over beasts.
Like animals.
Animals, yeah. The prime example is Empress Margot, the current priori or head of the Chastain line. She's always seen with her 4 enormous black wolves. They obey her perfectly.
So she controls animals. How is that useful in a war?
Think bigger. It's not just pets. It implies a deeper connection, potentially control over war horses, messenger birds, maybe even turning local wildlife, vermin, anything, against enemy camps or supply lines. It's infiltration, disruption, psychological warfare using the natural world.
That's subtle but effective.
So,
And Margot Chastain, she's also one of the originals.
yes, confirmed as one of the 5. One of the priests present at the Redeemer's murder, cursed alongside Voss. Her power, that mastery, is her specific piece of the curse.
Okay, 2 down. The third line. Eilenon, the Whispers. They sound sneaky.
Deeply insidious. Their power might be the most terrifying on a personal level. They specialize in the warping of emotions.
Warping emotions. How?
The priori is Karinilon. He's called the Spider. And he's also one of the original 5 priests. His ability. The text says he can undo people simply with a caress.
Undo them. What does that mean? It sounds chilling.
It seems to be total emotional annihilation or manipulation. He doesn't need to physically break you or control your body like a thrall. He gets inside your head, your heart. He can amplify your deepest fears, twist your desires, create this overwhelming need for him, for his approval, his touch.
So he creates emotional slaves.
Essentially, people who are utterly dependent on him, craving his influence even as it destroys them. It's described as moving beyond wanting into pure, desperate needing. Imagine the intelligence gathering potential, the political manipulation. You don't need armies when you can control the enemy's leaders from within, just by whispering in their ear or offering a comforting touch.
That is genuinely horrifying. Okay, and the last major line we need to cover is Voss's own, the Forever King's line.
The Voss line, yes. They're known as the Ironhearts, and that name fits. Their power seems rooted in discipline, command, relentless warfare, and unwavering loyalty to Fabian.
They're the military command structure.
Exactly. They lead the Endless Legion. The current priori, Kestrel Voss, is Fabian's daughter. She's called the Iron Maiden.
Fearsome title. Does she live up to it?
Apparently so. She commands the legions directly, and her personal kill count is rumored to be staggering, something like 10,000 men. Whether that's literal or symbolic, it speaks volumes. She embodies the tireless, unyielding, brutal efficiency of the Voss line. They are the engine of his endless war.
So you have these 4 powerful, cursed lineages stemming from the original sin, but there's another line mentioned, one that seems different, the Isani.
Yes, the Isani. This is the bloodline Gabriel's father, Wulfric, belonged to. And his half-sister, Selene, belongs to it as well. They have a different history. They position themselves as opponents of the other lines. Historically, they fought against the early vampire warriors, the Knights of the Blood, centuries ago, at a place called Sharburg. They see themselves as the guardians, the ones meant to keep the balance, maybe even end the curse.
But you said earlier their vision gets warped.
Deeply warped, as we discover later. Their idea of guardianship becomes something much darker. But initially, they represent a kind of opposition force within the vampire world.
Let's talk about Wulfric, Gabriel's father, more. His legacy seems to cast a long shadow.
Huge shadow. He was Lord Wulfric. He was wounded by holy fire at some point, which seems significant. And he became Selene's master.
Master. What does that mean in this context? It sounds loaded.
It is. It's not just teacher or leader. It implies a deep, often coercive blood bond, a level of spiritual and psychological control. Selene was bound to him. Wulfric himself was obsessed with finding salvation, breaking the curse. But his methods were extreme. Fear seemed to drive him.
Fear led him to abandon Gabriel's mother.
Yes. He saw Gabriel, his own son, as an abomination because of his mixed blood, part Isani, part human. He couldn't reconcile it with his quest for purity or salvation, so he rejected them both. Then later, he ends up fighting with Selene against the other lines, trying to find some path, but ultimately gets burned by holy fire again in St. Yves. A complicated, tragic figure.
Okay, shifting from the vampire politics to the mortal realm for a second. León, Gabriel's ancestral home. His grandfather, Baron Gerard, is in charge.
Yes, Baron Gerard de León. He and Gabriel have a strained relationship, to say the least. Gerard basically disowned Gabriel's mother years ago, cast her out, and he deeply disapproved of Gabriel leaving the Silversaints, the order Gabriel once belonged to.
So resentment there. But is he holding the city together?
He's trying. He represents the old guard, clinging to faith and tradition. He has this belief: as long as a de León holds God's faith upon his throne, the City of Lions cannot fall. León itself is protected by these massive walls bearing the sigil of the angel Gabriel. So there's this mix of old faith and lingering hope, but also past bitterness.
But the real power player in León seems to be Gabriel's cousin, Charlotte, La León Cendré.
Charlotte de León, the ash-covered lioness. Yes, she is a force. Fiercely devout, a true daughter of God in her own eyes. But her methods are extreme.
What did she do to earn that name?
She initiated a massive, brutal purge within León. She literally set fires, huge, devastating fires, targeting elements associated with the Divock, Chastain, and Voss bloodlines who had infiltrated the city.
She burned them out.
Burned them out, along with anyone associated with them. This event is known as the Seven Martyrs. Thousands died, mortals and vampires alike. It was an internal cleansing of staggering violence, all driven by her radical interpretation of faith.
Wow, that's purifying the city through immolation. It shows the desperation, the extremes people are pushed to.
Absolutely. It's a brutal example of how faith itself can become a weapon in this world. And she's structurally important, too. She's pregnant, carrying the next potential heir for the de León line.
And she has a moment with Gabriel later.
Yes, a really significant one. Despite their family's history, despite Gabriel's cursed blood and questionable path, she asks him to be godfather to her unborn child. It's this incredible act of reconciliation, suggesting that faith and family might, just maybe, find a way to bridge even the deepest divides. A powerful moment of grace amidst the horror.
Okay. And then there's the imperial capital, Augustin.
Yeah.
Ruled by Empress Isabella and her son, Prince Philippe. What's their stance?
The Augustins represent the established, pragmatic political power. Think realpolitik. They are deeply skeptical of this whole Grail business.
Skeptical of Dior.
Very. And skeptical of the vampires hanging around her, like Celine and especially Marin, who we'll get to. Isabella and Philippe are focused on military strength, political stability, holding the empire together against Voss, a resurrected girl claiming to be the Grail, backed by vampires. That sounds like trouble, like instability to them.
So they're not exactly rolling out the red carpet for the potential savior.
Not at all. Their caution, their pragmatism, forces Dior and her allies to operate on the fringes, often without official imperial support. It creates another layer of political tension and danger.
Right, which leads us perfectly into Section 3, the Grail's resurrection and conflicted destiny. Dior Lachance finally steps into the spotlight.
And her entrance is undeniable. She died. She was dead. Then 3 days later, in that sepulcher beneath Mergen, she just opens her eyes.
The resurrection. That's the proof.
It's the irrefutable proof for those who witness it. This isn't rumor, it's miracle. It immediately confirms her identity, at least in the eyes of the prophecy believers. She is La Demoiselle du Grail, the Grail.
And this status comes with power flowing through her blood.
Directly through her blood. And it's potent. Incredibly potent. It has this dual nature.
Dual nature? How?
On one hand, it's miraculous, restorative. It heals injuries almost instantly. There's an example with a young soldier, Louis, who is gravely wounded. Her blood heals him completely.
And the other hand?
It's devastatingly destructive to the dead, to vampires. High bloods like Lily Divock, Danton Voss, contact with her blood burns them to ash. It's pure, holy power made manifest.
So her blood is literally the key, like the prophecy says.
From holy cup comes holy light. The faithful hand sets world aright.
Yeah. She is the living embodiment of that holy light, that power. She's the source of divine energy in a world drowning in a divine curse.
But she doesn't get much time to figure this out on her own. She's immediately surrounded by powerful figures trying to guide her, right? Including vampires.
Immediately. And they have conflicting agendas. The two key vampire influences are Marin and Celine. Let's start with Marin.
Marin. She's the Priori of Asana, the same line as Wulfric and Celine.
Yes. She presents herself as the wise, benevolent leader of the faithful, the Isani. She's apparently just woken up from a long magical sleep, something called eventide. She immediately takes Dior under her wing.
What's her goal for Dior? Her stated goal is straightforward. Fulfill the prophecy. She pushes Dior relentlessly towards ascending the fivefold throne at a place called Maid's Feast. This is presented as the necessary step to unleash the Grail's full power and end Day's death. Marin is charismatic, persuasive. She seems completely devoted to the cause.
Seems. I sense a but coming.
A massive but. Because beneath that benevolent guidance, Merrin is hiding a catastrophic secret. The source material slowly peels back the layers, revealing her as this profound deceiver.
Deceiver how? What's her real goal?
It's nihilistic, utterly nihilistic. She doesn't want to save the world. She wants to end it.
End it. Why?
She says it later, explicitly, to Selene. The world, Selene. We want to end this cursed world. She sees Day's death, the curse, the suffering, as irredeemable. The only solution in her mind is total annihilation, wiping the slate clean. It's a terrifyingly dark interpretation of the Isani mission.
Wow. Okay, so that's Merrin, the hidden threat. What about Selene, Gabriel's half-sister? She seems conflicted too.
Selene has a complicated path. She's Isani, yes. She was Wulfric's student, bound to him. At one point, she was known as Liath, a fearsome warrior. And initially, she hunted Dior.
Hunted the Grail. Why?
She seemed to fear Gabriel's influence, his instability, his thirst. Maybe she thought he would corrupt or endanger the Grail. But something changes. She witnesses things, maybe senses Merrin's true nature, feels remorse for her own actions, and she switches sides.
So she starts working with Dior.
Yes, she becomes Dior's servant in a way, but also her instructor, specifically teaching her sanguimancy.
Sanguimancy, the magic of blood.
Exactly. How to control and wield the power flowing through her veins. And Selene's teaching methods are intense.
How so?
She uses her own experiences, her own deaths and resurrections, apparently. Isani, like her, can come back, though maybe not indefinitely. She uses these as object lessons. She's trying to toughen Dior up, force her to confront the darkness inherent in wielding such power, the necessity of sacrifice.
Brutal, but maybe necessary.
Perhaps. Selene is trying to prepare Dior for the reality of her role. And ultimately, Selene's conscience wins out. She cannot stand by Merrin's plan for destruction. Her betrayal of Merrin is a key turning point, driven by remorse and a refusal to participate in that level of sin.
Okay, so two powerful, complex vampire guides. What about Dior's mortal allies? Phoebe Adoncer, the Flesh Witch.
Phoebe is crucial. She's the Laird Bride, a leader of the Moon's Throne Mountains clans. Her connection is deeply personal and painful. Her husband, Connor, was recently killed.
By Lilith Divok, the Blackheart we mentioned.
Yes, that loss fuels her. It makes her fiercely protective of her people and inherently distrustful of all vampires, even Selene and Merrin, who claim to be allies. But her loyalty to Dior herself is strong. She acts as this vital, mortal anchor, a protector, someone grounded in the human world.
But her grief makes her vulnerable.
Terribly vulnerable. And Merrin exploits that. Later in the story, Merrin twists Phoebe's grief and distrust, particularly her distrust of Gabriel, manipulating her into stealing Ash Drinker Gabriel's sword and lying about his actions. Phoebe becomes this unwilling pawn, deeply hurt and used.
That's cold. Merrin seems to target everyone's weaknesses.
Master manipulator. And then there's Princess Rain, a Mergen. She's positioned as Dior's closest mortal friend, her companion.
Rain, her background is tied to Osway too, right? The place the Divoks destroyed?
Yeah, she carries that history. Her mother was the famous Niam Nine Swords, a warrior who united the Osway clans. Her father was Laird Ryan Asab. Their relationship was apparently quite scandalous, so Rain's birth itself is tied to political upheaval and judgment.
And how does she relate to Dior?
She is fiercely protective. She trains Dior in combat, but significantly her focus is purely defensive. She seems terrified of Dior embracing the darker aspects of her power, her dust dancer heritage. Rain represents the mortal fear of the supernatural, even when it's supposed to be holy.
And this creates tension between them, especially given their feelings for each other.
Immense tension. This is maybe the central personal tragedy of this part of the story. Dior and Rain clearly love each other, but Rain is deeply devout, bound by the testaments of her faith, which forbid premarital intimacy.
So religious guilt versus love.
Constantly. Rain struggles, believing God is watching every move, every touch. She pulls back, creates distance. Dior, meanwhile, is falling deeply in love, but is also frustrated, hurt by this constant religious barrier. She doesn't understand why their love has to be filtered through this lens of potential sin and divine judgment.
And that conflict, Merrin probably uses that too.
Oh, absolutely. Mary uses Rain's piety, her traditionalism, to drive wedges, to isolate Dior, to make Dior feel judged even by her closest companion. It's all part of the manipulation.
This is setting up so much conflict. Which brings us to Section 4, the betrayal and the final plan. Back to Gabriel. He makes a drastic move.
He does. He knows he's losing the battle against the thirst. He sees Dior resurrected, knows the stakes are escalating, and realizes he needs to get close to Boss, inside his inner circle.
But how? Voss knows Gabriel is his enemy.
Exactly. So Gabriel has to make Voss believe he's broken, desperate, maybe even ready to switch sides. He needs an excuse.
And the excuse involves a fight.
A huge, brutal public fight with Aaron in the stables at León where everyone can see.
Why Aaron? That seems incredibly cruel given their shared history and Aaron's struggles.
It's strategically perfect, even if personally devastating, because it looks real. Aaron is fighting his inner monster. Gabriel is visibly suffering from the thirst, relying on alcohol, staging a violent falling out where Gabriel perhaps seems to embrace the darkness or lash out uncontrollably. It sells the narrative.
What narrative? That Gabriel is weak, unstable.
Weak, unstable, maybe resentful of his allies, desperate for a cure for the thirst that only Voss might offer. It's a sort of stratagem, as the text calls it. A gamble to convince Voss that Gabriel is ripe for turning, giving Gabriel the opening he needs to join Voss's forces heading toward the final confrontation.
He basically has to pretend to betray everyone he cares about.
Yes, and the depth of his despair is clear. He says something to Aaron during this like, "I'd rather you fed me to the fucking divock." It sounds like pure anguish, but it also sells the performance of someone at their absolute breaking point.
So he sacrifices his reputation, his honor, maybe even his friendships for this long-shot plan.
All to buy time. Time for his real allies, Lachlan, Baptiste, maybe others, to gather forces to prepare for the real fight against Voss, while Gabriel works from the inside. It's a massive personal sacrifice.
And this gamble, it gets him close to Voss. He meets him.
He does. He finally gets his audience with the Forever King at Voss's chateau. And that's when Voss plays his trump card. The most shocking, devastating reveal in the entire story.
This is about his daughter, Patience.
This is about patience. Voss doesn't try to tempt Gabriel with promises of power or ending the thirst, not directly. He offers him something far more personal, far more cruel.
He brings her out.
He brings out his youngest child, a little girl, running towards Gabriel, but she's crying tears of blood.
Blood, a sign she's a vampire, a high blood.
Exactly. And Voss reveals this little girl named Patience is Gabriel's own daughter. The daughter he thought died years ago, resurrected, turned into one of them.
Voss resurrected Gabriel's dead child and turned her into a vampire.
Yes, and he'd been raising her, telling her stories about her father, telling her he was coming for her,
Right.
presenting himself as her savior, her protector.
Why, if Voss wants Gabriel on his side, why do something so monstrous? Turning his child seems like the fastest way to ensure Gabriel's eternal hatred.
But that's the absolute psychopathic brilliance of Voss's manipulation. He doesn't see it as monstrous. In his incredibly twisted logic, he thinks he's giving Gabriel a gift.
A gift?
He's showing Gabriel that he, Fabian Voss, can give Gabriel what God or fate or whatever took away. He can restore what was lost. He genuinely says something like, no greater gift than love of family. He believes that by giving Gabriel his daughter back, even as a high-blood vampire, he's proving his own capacity for, well, not goodness, but for providing ultimate fulfillment.
He thinks making her immortal like them is a good thing, a way to bond.
Yes, a shared destiny. He's trying to prove he's not just destruction, that his evil can grant the deepest desires. He's basically saying, look what I can do for you. I can undo death itself. Join me and you can have your family back forever.
That's weaponized hope, weaponized grief. It's staggering manipulation.
It forces Gabriel into an impossible psychological corner. Can he reject his own daughter? Can he accept this monstrous version of her? Voss is attacking Gabriel's deepest vulnerability.
But Voss is still Voss. There has to be a catch, a betrayal within the gift.
Always. Voss is fundamentally treacherous. This whole display, this apparent offering of family, it all leads to the ultimate horror show at Cherbourg Cathedral.
Cherbourg, the place where the Redeemer was murdered. That feels significant.
Hugely symbolic. Voss reveals his grand plan there. He intends to perform some kind of profane ritual using Dior's holy blood. The cathedral itself is built like the Redeemer's wheel, the instrument of his torture, apparently. And there are 5 stone bowls around it.
5 bowls, one for each of the original priests, Voss, Chastain, Eilon.
Presumably. Voss plans to use the Grail's power at the very site of the original sin, likely to enhance his own power, maybe break the curse on his own terms, achieve some kind of twisted apotheosis.
And how does Dior and Patience fit into this ritual? This is where it gets truly awful, isn't it?
This is where Voss reveals his true colors, shattering any illusion of benevolence. First, Gabriel is forced to watch as Voss brutally slices Dior's throat, letting her holy blood spill into one of the ancient bowls. violating the Grail.
Just watching that must be agony for Gabriel.
Agony, but then Voss commits the ultimate act of cruelty, the absolute betrayal. He takes Patience, Gabriel's daughter, the gift, and he throws her into the boiling holy blood of the Grail.
He throws her into the holy blood. But wouldn't that
Destroy her, yes. Holy power burns the dead. Her own father is forced to watch his newly rediscovered daughter die again, this time consumed by holy fire, by the very power meant for salvation.
That is unspeakable.
It confirms Voss's utter treachery. The gift was just a setup for maximum pain, maximum control. It was never about giving Gabriel anything but despair. And Selene, Gabriel's sister, is there too. Her reaction is pure instinct.
What does she do?
She tries to save Patience, her niece. That familial bond just kicks in. She lunges forward, tries to smother the flames consuming the child, getting horribly burned herself in the process. It's a moment of pure, futile heroism and shared agony.
So that's it. Any shred of doubt about Voss, any possibility of him being anything other than pure evil is gone. Gabriel knows.
Absolutely. That's the breaking point, the final illusion shattered. Voss isn't just an enemy. He's a monster who weaponizes love and family for kicks. This act fuels the final, desperate push against him.
Which brings us into the final act. Section 5. The end of Day's death. The conflict moves to the capital, Augustin.
The Siege of Augustin. This is the climactic battle. Voss throws everything he has at the city, led by Kestrel Voss, the Iron Maiden.
And she lives up to her reputation here.
Absolutely. The descriptions are brutal. She's a whirlwind of death. She personally kills Tolman the Scarred, a presumably tough opponent, by literally splitting him in half with her scythe. Just ruthless efficiency.
And she wounds Gabriel and Lachlan.
Severely. The fighting is described as incredibly close, desperate, and bloody. Another of Voss's children, Etienne, called the Black Crow, manages to stab Gabriel with a dagger, driving it in so hard the blade snaps against the stone beneath him. Gabriel's left near death. The sheer force of the Endless Legion is overwhelming. It looks like a losing battle.
Until Dior steps in again, with a plan.
Yes. This is where Dior really shines, not just as the Grail, but as a strategist. She allies herself properly with Prince Philippe, the pragmatic ruler of Augustin. They work together.
What's their plan? How do you stop an endless army?
They use the city itself, specifically the Guild Quarter, which has this complex system of pump works called La Rivière de Fer. And the water in the city, it's been blessed, constantly prayed over by monks, holy fools.
So they have holy water on tap, basically.
Essentially. And Dior's idea is brilliant. Boil it. Use the pump works to heat the blessed water until it turns into steam.
Steam. How does that help?
Boiling holy water creates holy steam, a massive cloud of consecrated vapor that fills the streets. The source calls it a holy pall.
And vampires, the dead, they can't stand holy things.
Exactly. They can't breathe it, can't stand contact with it. It blinds them, burns them, forces them back. The dead legions, the backbone of Voss's army, are effectively neutralized by this holy fog. They're forced to retreat.
That's genius, using faith and engineering together.
It's a massive turning point. A victory for strategy, faith, and cooperation over just brute, undead force. It shows Dior's cleverness and Philippe's willingness to trust this unconventional weapon.
But while this huge battle is raging outside, there's an internal battle too. Gabriel is still working in secret. Against Marin.
Yes. Gabriel, badly wounded, is disguised as a knight in the Golden Host, the Emperor's Guard. He's using the name Judgment Comes. Symbolic. Right. He's hunting Marin, the real architect of so much deceit.
And he confronts her?
He does. But Marin is always one step ahead, always manipulating. Just as things seem to be reaching a climax, she performs her final, most vicious act of betrayal.
What does she do?
She murders Princess Rain, Dior's beloved.
No. How? Why?
She slices Rain's heart. A clean, vicious kill. And then, to add insult to injury, she takes Gabriel's own sword, the one Phoebe stole for her, and plunges it into Rain's body.
Framing Gabriel for regicide.
Perfectly. Eliminates Rain, who is perhaps getting too close to Dior or questioning Marin, and frames her main rival, Gabriel, in one swift, brutal move. Classic political assassination disguised as battlefield chaos.
And how does Marin escape after doing this?
She reveals her true form, or at least her escape mechanism. She transforms into a colossal swarm of red moths, thousands of them, and dissipates, escaping the immediate aftermath, leaving Gabriel holding the bloody sword over Rain's body.
That's horrifying, both the act and the transformation.
It's the final proof of Marin's monstrous nature. The faithful leader revealed as a shape-shifting murderer driven by nihilism.
This must be the catalyst for Selene, right, seeing this?
This is the absolute final straw for Selene. She's witnessed Marin manipulate Phoebe, break Ash Drinker, and now murder Rain and frame Gabriel. She understands the full, terrifying scope of Merrin's plan to end the world. She can't be part of it anymore.
So she confesses, tells Dior and Gabriel everything.
Everything. She lays it all bare. Her own complicity, her failures, but most importantly, Merrin's lies and her true goal. She chooses truth, chooses Dior over her lifelong loyalty to the Asani and their corrupted leader.
Which sets up the final confrontation at a feast in the Chateau Imperial.
Yes. After the battle, there's this tense gathering. Dior forces the issue. She confronts Merrin publicly. Gabriel is there, wounded, his sword shattered earlier by Merrin, standing ready but essentially defenseless.
How does Dior handle it? Merrin can just turn into moths again, right?
Dior uses the ultimate weapon, her own blood and faith. But not faith in God necessarily, faith in choice, in sacrifice. She takes a silver dagger, slices her own wrist, and presses her hand, bleeding holy, burning blood against Celine's chest.
Forcing Celine's hand. Literally.
Literally. A direct physical challenge. Choose. Stand with Merrin's lies and sin, or stand with the Grail, with the truth, even if it means betraying everything you once knew. It's an incredible moment of forcing accountability.
And Celine chooses.
She chooses truth. She publicly denounces Merrin, exposes her plan, declares she can no longer be party to such sin. She breaks the Asani loyalty completely.
And with Merrin exposed, what happens? Does she fight? Flee?
She tries to flee, transforms into that swarm of red moths again, but this time Dior is ready.
What does Dior do?
She unleashes the full power of the Grail. Not healing, not defense, pure, righteous destruction. She channels her holy blood into this wave of energy, described as a fire hot enough to melt an angel's blade.
Aimed at the moths.
Aimed directly at the escaping swarm. And it works. The holy fire consumes the moths, obliterating Merrin, ending her influence, ending that dark, hidden agenda that was driving the prophecy towards annihilation.
So the prophecy is fulfilled, but not how anyone expected.
Not by divine decree, not by following the rules. It's fulfilled through betrayal, sacrifice, collaboration between mortals and vampires, humans and monsters. It's fulfilled by difficult, painful human choices.
And after all that, the fighting, the betrayals, the deaths, is there finally peace? A change.
There's a moment, quiet moment. Dior, Gabriel, Celine, Phoebe, the survivors, are standing on the battlements of Augustin. The immediate threat is gone. And then Celine notices something.
Celine, the vampire.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's only ever known Day's death, the twilight. She looks at her own skin and she sees light rising from it. She whispers smoke, almost confused.
And Dior confirms it.
Dior, the Grail, looks around, maybe feels it too, and says, it's brighter.
The day's death is ending. The sun is coming back.
It's begun. The implication is that Merrin's influence, maybe the collective weight of the ancient curses, was maintaining that oppressive darkness. And with her gone, with the Grail's power asserted in this way, the veil is lifting.
So it wasn't just a physical phenomenon, but tied to these spiritual, political forces.
It seems so. And in that dawn, that fragile new light, Gabriel has this moment of clarity. He's holding Phoebe, sharing this survival, and he realizes they aren't healed, not made whole. They were born broken, he thinks. But in finding each other, these broken pieces, they find a kind of completeness, like shards of the same shattered blade fitting together.
That's beautiful, accepting the brokenness, finding connection in it.
It shifts the goalpost, doesn't it? It's not about achieving perfection. It's about finding solidarity in imperfection, building a chosen family out of the wreckage.
So the light is returning. Dior asks how long it will take.
And Gabriel, honest as ever, says, I'm not sure. But it's happening. A new dawn, uncertain, bought at an unbelievable price. But it's here.
Wow. Okay, that brings us to the end of this deep dive, just processing all of that. The cost, the complexity.
The cost is the first thing that hits you, I think. It's immense.
Yeah.
Rain is dead, murdered by the very person who claimed to lead the faithful. Patience, Gabriel's daughter, resurrected only to be horrifically sacrificed by Voss. Lachlan is gravely injured. Gabriel loses an eye to Empress Margot's claws in the final chaos.
So victory wasn't clean. It was bloody, painful, and required compromise.
Huge compromises. The prophecy wasn't fulfilled by saints. It was fulfilled by a hero who'd lost his faith, a vampire wrestling with her past, a Grail who embraced her darker side, and alliances forged in desperation and trauma.
And that point about the villains, the 5 priests started the curse, but Merrin and the Asani faithful ended up being arguably more dangerous.
It's a stunning twist, isn't it? Voss, Chastain, Eilon, they were cursed into evil, driven by power and defying God. But Merrin, she chose nihilism. She represented corrupted faith, The idea that the desire to purify or end suffering could lead to wanting to destroy everything.
Wow.
Voss wanted to rule the world. Marin wanted to burn it. It makes you question who the real ultimate evil was.
It really does. Before we wrap up, let's touch on those final character notes, those nuggets about Gabriel's future in this new world.
Right. Despite everything, the staged betrayal, the broken reputation, the literal scars, he gets this moment of profound acceptance. His cousin Charlotte, the ash-covered lioness, asks him to be godfather.
Integrating him back into the family, into the future of León.
Exactly. It's a quiet sign that redemption, or at least acceptance, is possible, even for someone as damaged and cursed as Gabriel.
And the physical cost is permanent, too. The eye.
The lost eye, yes. A permanent reminder of the fight. But maybe more importantly, he seems to find peace with the thirst, with his vampiric nature. He understands Dior's blood is only a temporary fix, not a cure, and he reflects, but who wants forever?
Acceptance. Embracing limitation, mortality, imperfection.
It feels like it. He's no longer chasing an impossible ideal of purity or freedom from the curse. He's accepting who he is, broken parts and all.
And the relationships forged in fire, Gabriel and Celine, Aaron and Baptiste they hold.
They hold. The survivors choose each other. Chosen family, loyalty tested and proven, triumphs over blood ties, ancient curses, past sins. That seems to be the bedrock they'll build on.
Okay, so the sun is coming back. The blackened veil shall be undone. But the final thought, the provocative question for you, the listener.
What kind of world is this that's dawning? Its savior, Dior Lachance, is described as a gutter rat, a dusk dancer, part holy, part profane. Its primary hero, Gabriel de León, is resurrected from torture, faithless, scarred, haunted.
The leaders aren't saints. They're survivors, deeply compromised by the darkness they had to navigate, even fight with.
So the question is, can these damaged souls, these broken heroes, actually build something lasting, something ethical from the ashes? Does the incredible, bloody, morally ambiguous cost of achieving this new dawn inevitably taint the light itself? Or does surviving that cost, choosing light despite the darkness, make it stronger, more real?
Does the cost of victory matter if the result is light? A deeply complicated piece ahead, for sure. We hope this deep dive helps you think about that fragile new dawn. Until next time.